Hey, Fraggle fans, Beth here. As we're nearing the end of Season 3, it's time to send us your listener feedback. Questions, corrections, stuff we missed, fan art, whatever you got. Send those in by the end of July. You can email beth@toughpigs.com or tag me in the Fraggle Talk channel of the Tough Pigs Discord. Just make sure to do that by July 31st. Thanks so much for listening, and on with the show. Hello and welcome to Fraggle Talk Classic, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. My name is Beth, and I am rewatching for the millionth time.
My name is Julia, and I'm rewatching for the first time in 10 years.
My name is Adam, and people aren't sure if I exist or not because I'm squatching this for the first time. Did I already do that one?
No!
I don't think so, no.
Oh, good, okay.
It's just not what I was expecting.
Get wrecked.
And today we are talking about episode 19 of season 3, The Cavern of Lost Dreams, which originally aired on May 6th, 1985, written by B.P. Nicol and directed by Terry Maskell.
I loved this one. I say that at the top of a lot of these, but this one had a lot of stuff that you don't see again in kids shows that I think is incredibly useful in terms of just like modeling behavior and how to pick stuff up. Shall we dive right in?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Start off on Doc, and he's trying to make a new dog food that will revolutionize the dog food industry. And he adds a bit of fennel and rose hip for vitamin C. Do dogs need extra vitamin C, Julia?
I mean, probably like some level of it. I don't know the exact about vitamin C. I will say that I did take notes about every kind of food they talked about putting into this dog cereal, which I also have to say, dog kibble is just kind of already like cereal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's just meat cereal.
Is rose hip, is that just rose? Is that just like a
Sort of.
rose extract?
The rose hips are the little bulb-looking things that form after a rose has died.
Okay.
And then that little bulb-looking thing is full of vitamin C, actually.
Yeah, it's you get it. It's like right below the rose waist, but it's like above the rose thigh.
Dang it.
Nice.
Thank
Rose
you.
Rose is not bad for dogs. Like, it is a flower that is safe for you to have in your yard, and if they get into it, you know, probably you don't want that because it's covered in thorns, but that's totally fine. Fennel, I learned because I didn't know about fennel, but I had a feeling, because typically herbs and spices, like if you're giving your dog any kind of meat, you want it to be unseasoned. Just so simple and like take out the bones and everything. Fennel, apparently, if your dog is prone to seizures, you do not want to give them fennel 100% because that will make their seizures worse.
Whoa.
They also mentioned putting milk in the cereal. Dairy is bad for dogs. Little doses, dogs love cheese. You can give them little cheese treats, but you should not give them a ton of dairy. And also Doc mentions that there's too much spice. And again, don't put spice in your dog food because spice is not good for dogs. They do not need it. Dogs don't care about flavor. I make homemade dog treats for some dogs if I have the time. And those treats, I've tried one because it's just egg, flour, peanut butter, and pumpkin. They taste like nothing, but dogs love them because their flavor palette is different than ours. This is your PSA. Just buy some good dog food for your dog, unless you like do the research. And please do the research because there's so much food that people feed their dogs that they should not feed them. That's it.
Yeah.
They're making dog cereal. Star swipe.
Yeah. I had a dog for a little while, and I told all my friends that I had the dog on a vegan diet, and they got really mad at me about it. And I was like, look, I only feed him vegans who annoy me.
There you go.
And they were okay with that. Dogs need meat, y'all.
They need
and
meat.
And vegans are very full of meat.
That is very true. I had one client who had a dog who had a vegan diet, and that was like the hardest thing I had to deal with, where I was like, that you shouldn't. You need to give them meat. They're at the best omnivores. If you want to give, they definitely have some like vegetables that they enjoy, but no, they need meat in their diet. Is there a reason that they're making this dog cereal? It's just Doc doing another, I guess, cooking invention this time.
I mean, I appreciate that he's hyper-focusing on nourishing the homies. That's pretty cool of him. But Sprocket, I want to talk about the dynamic that comes up here for a second. Because Sprocket takes the wheel on the inventing and starts just like pouring stuff into bowls. And Doc gets a little defensive about it. He's like, I'm the inventor in this household. And Sprocket barks something. And Doc, understanding it perfectly, says, well, of course you're a dog. That's why I'm trying this cereal on you. And then Sprocket says something more. And then Doc has this line. He says, of course I know you know your dog food from personal experience. There's no argument. And I appreciate that we're getting just like little bits of the like expert in the field, or someone who seems like they're an expert but is not a part of the community they're serving, like ceding the expertise to the member of the people in the community.
Right. Acknowledging that Sprocket is the subject matter expert here.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me of that one scene from the Sword in the Stone, where Merlin turns Arthur into a little bird, and he's like, I suppose I should teach you about the mechanics of wing travel. See, the big feathers are called the primaries. And Archimedes is like, well, since when do you know all about bird wings? And Merlin says, I've made an extensive study of birds in flight. And Archimedes says, and if you don't mind, I happen to be a bird.
I know this scene. And I did always appreciate that moment. Yeah. Archimedes knows what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I was delighted when I realized that this was going to be a Cotterpin Doozer episode.
Yes.
You know I'm always so psyched for the Doozer episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is the first time we've gotten a Cotterpin and Gobo together episode.
Yeah. It's a fun team up because they're both pretty stubborn. Like, it's a different kind of stubborn with Gobo than with, say, Red. But he wants to be the leader and be in charge. And Cotterpin just doesn't take any
Yeah.
And that's a fun dynamic between the two of them.
But she also is really pushy, and I feel like Gobo's the first Fraggle who's been, like, confident enough in his personhood to kind of push back on that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's some really interesting Cotterpin beats for this whole episode. We start off with Cotterpin. She keeps trying to make a more revolutionary design than the architect's design, but then the Fraggles come by and they really like eating the architect's tower, and they try Cotterpin's tower and they're like, no, this is bad. And Cotterpin says, oh, what do they know about architecture anyways? And the architect says, don't be so defensive. They know what they don't like.
Yeah. Yeah, she starts out, at this point, she is very comfortable giving her opinion, even if it comes off as a little rude sometimes, maybe. But she's also so enthusiastic, and this opening scene, but this back and forth between Cotterpin and the architect made me a little sad for both of them, because neither one of them are truly meeting the other where they're at. And I feel like that's a little bit more on the architect to do, like, as the authority figure, as the one who's been around longer. Like, he could do a little bit better of, like, well, what is it about your, design that, appeals to you, and how do you think we could maintain a good taste in a new design? Like
I actually want to push back on that just a little bit.
Oh, please tell me more.
And it's specifically because of this one little interaction. She says, I feel like I can't come up with any new ideas without you criticizing me. And he says, I'm discussing. You're the one who's criticizing.
I wrote that down as well.
Yeah, I love that. The thing that is interesting about Cotterpin is she's changing design without trying to figure out why that's there in the first place.
Yes.
She's trying to do new novelty and newness for the sake of itself, which is a great way to not learn. Okay. You all are familiar with Occam's razor. You're familiar with Murphy's Law, yeah?
Wait, remind me. Occam's razor is the one I always forget.
The simplest possible explanation is usually the right one.
Right. Okay, yes.
Then Murphy's Law is anything that can go wrong probably will go wrong.
Right.
Have you all heard of Chesterton's fence?
Chesterton's fence? What is that?
It's a similar law, and the law is don't remove or change something until you know why it was put there in the first place. Importantly, it is not never remove or change anything.
Right.
It's just know why it was there in the first place. You see this a lot in musicians. They don't want to learn mainstream music stuff. And then it's like, well, okay, but you need to understand that there's a whole bunch of really powerful tools and techniques that go into why mainstream is mainstream in the first place. And if you learn that and you learn how to do it, you're going to learn a lot of those techniques. And then you can use that as a foundation to build something different.
Yeah, I feel like that is something that good teachers are able to communicate in really effective ways, and ineffective teachers sometimes miss that mark.
Yeah.
Well, I also think it's just like so common with when you are a young person and you're coming into an art form to, just want to buck against what is seen as commonplace. And I don't know, it's almost just kind of a rite of passage of learning, like, oh, I want to push the boundaries, and then realizing, oh, but these are here for a reason. And once I understand them, you see it a lot with poetry, or even poetry slams of like, folks come in and they're really excited, but then they're like, oh, but why are these rules in place? We should do it like this and this. And then you have to explain like, well, yeah, but this is the reason that in a poetry slam, judges do it this way and why we talk about them this. And yes, it's this, but I related a lot to Cotterpin because I think that I've been in her position when I've felt frustrated by quote unquote constraints in art forms I've done. But at the same time, now as a leader in the poetry community where I live, I also recognize where the architect is coming from. And so there is a little bit of like seeing both sides, but I do think that Cotterpin does come in a little hot-headed, and I did really like the line about him saying, I'm just discussing this with you. I'm not criticizing it. You're the one who's criticizing it, because, I think that it's also the Cotterpin that we know is she's very blunt and very opinionated, which I love about her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's nice because we've seen her sort of being blunt and opinionated against an, somewhat oppressive structure, and that's really nice. And it's nice to see this now, this same character trait in a completely different sort of narrative setting, and have it be kind of shooting yourself in the foot a little bit.
But yeah, they're both right in this conversation, which is frustrating and
beautiful. You don't see that kind of nuance on a kids show very often.
Yeah. And there's a lot of nuance in this episode about the wisdom of experience and how different generations pass on knowledge from one generation to the next, and how younger generations tend to bring in those new ideas and that energy and wanting to change things, and all of that is necessary in that conversation.
I if we can, I'll talk. The problem is, you just give me an idea for a thing, but it's for later in the episode, but it's an idea that I just had now based on what you were saying.
Okay, we'll stick a pin in it and come back to it later? Are we going to remember what it is?
When you talk about all the different viewpoints on all the different generations.
Okay, yeah. Generational knowledge, we will definitely, we'll come back to that.
Because there's some really interesting, like, time of life generation contrasts with all the different groups. Anyways, onward. The architect is like, oh, wow, well, that sounds like the sort of thing you'd hear in the Cavern of Lost Dreams. And Cotterpin's like, what? That sounds awesome. I'm going to go there right now.
Yeah. For me, it was the point at which she was like, oh, this thing that you just mentioned sounds exciting. And he doesn't realize, he's like, oh, no one knows anymore, but we're talking about my towers. And I was like, dude, see, this is the moment where you got to put your ego aside and nurture this curiosity in your pupil, because that's the point at which she's going to break off. And sure enough, she goes off and he says, oh, but there are no maps, no records, nothing. Believe me, you're on your own, Cotterpin. And I was like, except this is the one Doozer who knows how to make friends with Fraggles.
Yup.
Yes. We then get her singing a song while cruising on her little Doozer mobile. And she's singing pretty much the entire time that it's just driving around this track. And it's really cool.
It's one long, continuous camera shot of Cotterpin riding down this kind of gently sloping spiral turnabout thingy. But then when you pull out, you see that that spiral has this giant stalagmite, like right in the middle. I have no idea how they did this shot.
It's really cool.
It was very cool.
Also, just the line, "Hello, highway, please don't mind my tone." Like that is a poem of a line in and of itself. Like, of course, the highway doesn't give a crap about your quote-unquote tone.
Yeah, I really liked... again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm a sucker for when they genre, right? You give me some genre, I'm a happy Adam. And this is just a good old-fashioned country and western traveling song. my personal favorite moment of this whole song is we get to see those same little cave crawler fluffy dudes, but we see them from the camera perspective of a Doozer, so they seem huge.
Yeah.
And that little perspective trick made me very happy.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't have spiders as big as our heads in this continent.
God's me too, and I have no plans to go anywhere where they do.
No.
So she gets there and then has the moment of like, all right, I figured it out. Now I just need to figure out where I am and where I'm going. And happily, Red and Wembley are walking by and make some comment about how Gobo's the guy who can find anything you need. And she's like, I'm going to go check that guy out.
I appreciate that every time she utters the phrase, the Cavern of Lost Dreams, coming from Cotterpin, she pronounces it Cavern.
Yeah.
Did anyone else notice that?
I did.
I don't know if I did.
Is that like a regional accent thing, or is it just a Cotterpin thing?
I don't know.
Either way, it's adorable. She decides to make her case to Gobo, and she's getting a little dramatic about it at first.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that like, oh, but I'm desperate, and leaning her arms splayed dramatically, leaning against the wall. And when that doesn't work, she's a little bit of negging, a little bit of subtle manipulation.
She really goes for his ego.
Yeah, she challenges his ego, and he falls for it hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doesn't she says like, oh, you only go places your uncle's gone before?
She specifically calls him Mr. Been This Way Before Gobo second time around Fraggle, and like, heck yeah, get his ass, Cotterpin.
And it works.
He's like, well, what can I do for you, little Doozer? And she says, the name's Cotterpin, not little Doozer. Like, yeah, you tell him.
Right? Surely one of them should remember her name by now. I mean, Red did, from one episode to another. That was impressive. But you would think that enough of them by now have met her.
Julia, you were saying something, though.
Oh, I was just gonna say that there's also, after he agrees, there's this great shot where Gobo is walking down this pathway, and he turns around and we see that Cotterpin is riding on his backpack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this below shot, and it's just really, the cinematography is really great.
So we cut briefly back to Doc and Sprocket, and the only thing this is relevant for is we get Sprocket doing his Swedish chef impression.
Yes,
Mhm.
oh my god, I loved it. I wasn't expecting it.
I mean, it makes sense, because bork, bork, bork.
It does. And he's making food, so two and two together. But it's just very charming, because we don't get a lot of one-for-one Muppet references on this show.
Yeah.
And it was just like a nice tiny nod. It's like a 3-second bit, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, it's garlic powder is mentioned going into the food. Garlic powder, also not okay. Garlic, bad for dogs.
Is that all alliums, I would guess? Because I know alliums are poison to cats, but...
I think so. I think, yeah, like onions and things. I think those are bad. Like carrots, peas, those are all right for dogs to have. Yeah.
So they're wandering, and Cotterpin's just like heckling Gobo, and he's kind of the first person to push back on it. He says, listen, I'm doing you a favor. When one creature does another creature a favor, the other creature should keep her little mouth zippered. And it's like, you know, he says it kind of jerkily, but that's good advice. Somebody's doing something nice for you that you asked them to do. Don't backseat drive it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and think too hard about how Fraggle knows what a zipper is.
I had that thought too.
I guess zippers have been around long enough in silly creature society that maybe some zippered items made it down to Fraggle Rock at some point.
Mm-hmm. So they find it. They find the Cavern of Lost Dreams. And I was completely floored. I can't speak for the rest of y'all, but other Doozers pop out, and I lost my gosh darn mind.
Oh, yeah?
Ancient Doozers.
Oh, yeah. Well, whole other Doozers representative of whole other Doozer cultural backgrounds.
Yes. That... I was waiting to see what you thought of this episode for that reason. Like, we get some deep Doozer lore in this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was in heaven. I was having a great time.
So yeah, we get two new Doozers who we don't hear their...
Yeaster and Krusty.
Yeah, two very unfortunately named Doozers. Yeaster...
Why is that unfortunate? I think they're beautiful. Something unfortunate about those names, Beth? Perhaps in a comedic way? I can't imagine.
So Yeaster
You're
is
making a face at me.
Sandra Shamas. No comment. Krusty Doozer is played by Steve Whitmire. No comment. Moving on.
Yeah.
On we move.
The only thing I stole from Matthew's 40 years later review of this episode is a pair whose names make me regret that we didn't carry over adultiest content from the old Muppet Show reviews.
Oh, yeah. We used to do that. Yeah, I didn't recognize Steve's voice at all. I had to look up who were playing the Doozers. Who's playing Yeaster? It's someone who did a little bit on Fraggle Rock, but not a ton.
Sandra Shamas. Let me look up her other credits, because I don't know off the top of my head. Okay, on Fraggle Rock, Yeaster Doozer, Fritz Poobah, Mavis the Mirror, who we have not met yet, Rotary Doozer, and background Fraggles.
Yeah.
Also puppeteered on Follow That Bird and the Jim Henson Hour.
So yeah, someone who was around a little bit, but yeah, I didn't recognize the name when I first looked up the characters.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the song that happens?
I really enjoyed this song, actually.
This, like, gospel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, too, because they're singing about architecture and bonding over architecture. And there is a, like, religious element to the architecture in the Doozer Society.
It is their way of life.
Absolutely. And so I felt like it fit.
The line, "And when danger threatens, we'll do what we always do," I found very telling. Coming from the symbols of this old, ancient time, and Doozers who themselves are very old.
They had this phrase that they share, what it's strong as a stalactite and unchanging as the rock. Which is silly because rock changes, it just changes very slowly.
Yes, exactly.
So neener.
The geology nerds called, and they have some bad news about how rocks work.
Check out Big Geology trying to sell us on the concept of change. Anyways, so Gobo's hungry, and he decides he wants to eat one of these towers, and we get this wonderful, it's a cross-cultural, cross-species mistranslation first, because Gobo's from a shared ecosystem that doesn't necessarily have, like, shared culture, but the culture is that it's expected for Fraggles to eat these Doozer towers,
right?
And Krusty and Yeaster aren't. And so they take serious offense to this, and they basically put Gobo in jail, and they threaten him with these long spears that are coated in itching sap, which apparently will make you itch forever if it gets on you, which sounds like hell.
Yeah. And I think it's worth noting that when Gobo tastes this, he says it tastes like moldy old mushrooms. So this is confirming that back before radishes were quote-unquote discovered, you know, not only the Fraggles were eating mushrooms, but the Doozers were building out of mushrooms.
I actually, this is maybe my favorite, like, world building thing that we've seen, because you get to hear Yeaster and Krusty say, we ran out of mushrooms to build with, so some Doozers had to head off in search of a new supply. And we saw that Fraggle Society changed when there was an extinction event for the mushrooms. So we now get to see that Doozer Society also changed when the mushrooms, which leads me to the question, what killed the mushrooms? Mushrooms are so hardy.
That's true.
Mushrooms are so hardy. They'll eat anything. Anything dies, you can get mushrooms. What happened that made it so mushrooms couldn't grow anymore?
Dang, I did not think about that. Listeners, let us know if you have your fan theories.
Yeah, listeners.
Also, they keep referring to Gobo as the writing beast, Cotterpin's writing beast. Gobo hates it.
So Cotterpin decides to rebuild the tower that Gobo took apart to eat, but she builds it different, and Krusty and Yeaster get so mad that they throw her in prison too. And we get this great little moment with Gobo and Cotterpin where Gobo says, you must have been nearly as charming with them as you were with me. And Cotterpin says, okay, I deserve that. And I love that, because that is an important thing to be able to do. To be like, yeah, you know what? That one is on me. And seeing it from Cotterpin, like, that's the character growth for this episode. I am content.
I wish it hadn't. I wish Gobo hadn't done it with passive aggression, but I see your point.
I mean, that led to me more as just the tone of their rapport building up as sort of similar to the tone of the rapport between Gobo and Red.
Yeah, the teasing. Yeah, that does make sense. But there's an important moment that... So before they get thrown in jail, Krusty Doozer is looking at this collapsed tower like it'll never be the same again, which I think is important enough on its own to notice of like, yeah, when things change, they are never going to be the same again. That is what happens every time.
Yeah.
But also nothing is ever the same again.
Exactly.
Things are changing constantly. There is no 2 moments in existence that have been exactly the same.
Yeah.
You're just not paying attention.
And when it's, you know, you've been given this job and this your entire identity to protect a thing that you've been told is unchanging, then yeah, you're gonna get upset and call it a sacrilege, which I thought that was another really important word. They call him like defiler of the sacred structure or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's another important like cross-cultural moment because like, yeah, he did destroy a sacred thing. And also stuff changes and everything collapses, and Cotterpin takes the initiative to take 3 of the blocks that have fallen and she stacks 3 of them together like bricks, and then a 4th she balances it on its corner,
which is very impressive.
Yeah.
which looks really cool, and they call her a revolutionary, a radical.
Yeah. How dare she?
Also very important wording there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they throw him in jail.
So Gobo pivots awkwardly to the traveling mat card, and we get to see just not a very... It's an antique store, and he's like, oh, they're bringing things away, and it's not even a very interesting misinterpretation.
Yeah, it's just Matt hitting on a doll.
Yeah.
Well, and then, like, there's a woman who's so excited about getting a chair, and he thinks that she's excited about taking him home, and he's super stoked, but then she grabs the chair, and he ends up falling into a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kinda it. I don't even remember the button to this.
I mean, the button's kind of buried in the middle. It's to a complete stranger, what's old is new.
Okay, yeah.
And so then we cut back to Cotterpin, and it's pulled out at this point that she's just sitting on Gobo's foot talking to him, and I love that.
Yeah, Sam.
So Cotterpin and Gobo scheme to get out of jail by having Gobo pretend to faint. And when Cotterpin yells for help, the guards lift the itching plant, portcullis-looking thing.
Mm-hmm. And so then they basically trick them, take their spears away, and tie them up and stick them on Gobo's pack. And they're like, what are you going to do with us? And Cotterpin says, show you some other Doozers.
Yeah.
And so this is where I want to talk about the interesting generational things that we've got here.
Yep.
Because the architect is someone who we know from his backstory in his youth rebelled against the system.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he is the arbiter of the system, doesn't want people to be necessarily rebelling against the system that he's got. He's the adult who went, well, when I was young, it was bad, and then we found the new way, and now that's the right way. It's the type of person who did one change and believes they're done now. Whereas Yusty and Creaster are very much the like, no, this is the way I was taught, this is the only way. They're the 0 changes, we're still done, why would you question anything?
Right.
Unchanging is the rock. Whereas Cotterpin brings the element of youth to it, where she's like, none of this matters just because it's been around for a while.
Change everything.
Everything is fluid. And that also means that a lot of what she's doing doesn't necessarily have staying power.
Right.
Because she hasn't taken the time to understand what brings that about. And I love that you're getting to see all 3 different generational aspects of a society.
Yeah.
Including the parts of it that have split off and become more extreme in their isolation. He said, not subtweeting anyone.
Yeah. It's nice that, you know, they're walking around meeting all of these other Doozers, seeing these new types of structures. And Krusty says, I remember I used to dream of towers like these, but we never had the tools for the task.
Yeah.
And like, I appreciate that even Krusty from, the representation of this old generation, the symbol of like zero change. Even he is like, oh, I could dream of something better, but we couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the change that happened in the meantime when they weren't paying attention, is that the change that used to be impossible is now possible.
Yeah. And so then we get to see Cotterpin taking 2 different architectural inspirations. She apologizes. She apologizes to the architect.
She does, yeah.
Which I liked. It's always nice seeing a headstrong character learn when to apologize. And he's not a dick about it, which is also good.
Yeah. And she's clearly learned not just when and how to have a little more humility in talking with the folks who have important knowledge that you need to know, but she also says, I found a way of combining what I like in your designs with what I like in the Cavern of Lost Dreams, and it's my design. And she gestures to this new structure that has, elements of both. And even Wembley declares that different, but I like it.
Yeah.
She found a way to make it all work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we cut back to Doc at Sprocket with maybe the wildest tagline of an episode that I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Sprocket finishes making the cereal. Doc sees that Sprocket likes it, decides he's going to try some, and goes, oh, this is good. I would eat this. Well, that'll change the game. A cereal for dogs and humans. I can see the tagline now. End those lonely mornings with a cereal both you and your dog can chew on.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. What the heck?
What in the world? Sir.
Why can't you just eat your human food and the dog eats their dog food and you just have a meal together? Does it actually bring it closer to you closer with your dog if you're eating the exact same food? I guess your dog will want that food because they'll say, hey, that smells like my food. Give it to me. It's wild.
It truly is a moment of like, wow, I've never heard those words in that order.
It's something that they made, and based off of everything we know what went in it, it's totally safe for Doc to eat. Most of the dog food you would get from a store, you as a human probably don't want to eat it. But a lot of things made, like homemade, are totally fine for people, especially if there's not meat
also,
products.
Most of the dog food at the store won't make you sick if you eat it. Right. It's just not very pleasant.
No, speaking as somebody as a 4-year-old who was like, I'm gonna eat my cat's hard food for like a week until my parents were like, hey, let's not, buddy. Let's eat something else. And I was like, okay, I guess so. It's not gonna harm you, but it doesn't taste good.
Yeah, we all did that experiment at 4. Definitely 4 is the age we all did that experiment. Not 14. Definitely 4.
Yeah.
Doc's not great at writing slogans, but it did make me want cereal for dinner.
Oh, cereal for dinner is great.
I never feel lonely when I'm having cereal and my cat is having her disgusting, fishy, wet food, but...
Hey, did you know that if you mix that cereal and that disgusting fishy wet food, it's really gross?
I did not know that from experience, but I knew it from logic, maybe? Extrapolation.
That's how I got there too. Definitely logic. Shall we talk about how to make the world a little fragglier?
I had a tough time coming up with one for this episode.
I'm going to stick with Chesterton's fence. If you're going to change something or take something away, figure out why it was there in the first place first. And maybe you still want to change it. Maybe you still want to take it away. But figure out why it's there first.
I'm going to say, if you own a dog, go buy them a nice treat this week, but also do your due diligence and double check what dogs should and shouldn't eat, especially around the holidays, y'all. Don't just feed them table scraps. Look it up.
Introduce your riding beast to new folks, so they don't just call it a riding beast, but will call it by its name.
Do you want to plug your pluggables?
Yes, you can find me on social media at Beth Anna Cook. That's Anna with 2 N's, and occasionally writing stuff for Tough Pigs.
You can find me at Geek Girl Grown Up on social media, also occasionally writing for Tough Pigs, and at juliagaskill.com for some good old-fashioned poetry.
You can find me sitting on the feet of a much larger creature, just absolutely dunking on its uncle's writing. But also, it's probably the last time I want to plug this. I was on Moving Right Along. I got to review my favorite 2 minutes of Muppets from Space, and we had a grand old time doing it.
Yeah. All right, that is going to be it for this one. Reminder to check out toughpigs.com, give us a good review on your podcatcher of choice, and we will see you next time.
Don't forget to dance your cares away.
Dan at Fraggle Talk.
Wow.
Fraggle Talk Classic is brought to you by toughpigs.com. Fraggle Talk art by Dave Hulteen Jr. The Fraggle Rock mark and logo, characters, and elements are trademarks of the Jim Henson Company. All rights reserved. Fraggle Rock theme song, written by Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee, is used with permission. Special thanks to the Jim Henson Company and the entire Fraggle Rock family. For more from Tough Pigs, follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook, and make sure to check out our Discord server, TeePublic merch store, and Patreon. Fraggle Talk Classic is produced and edited by me, Beth Cook. Thank you to Joe Hennis, the Tough Pigs Muppet Fan Podcast executive producer. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time, down at Fraggle Talk.
So she gets an idea.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You were doing the same thing I was, summarizing the...
I know, but this way I get to give you even more beats of this, passing it back and forth to each other, and now we've got our button.
Great.